Who said we weren't getting another Friday the 13th movie this year? Never Hike Alone stars Andrew Lady and is directed by Vincent DiSanti. What's up, guys? I am super excited for this review because it means I get to support independent film, or what I like to call no budget filmmaking. And that's really what this is. This is a fan film, and I usually don't review fan films, but there's been quite a buzz around Never Hike Alone, which is, by this point, most of you know, a Friday the 13th fan film. It's really made for the fans, but it's good. It's really good. As a matter of fact, I will go ahead and say it's better than at least half of the Friday the 13th movies. And the movie was made for less than $20,000. Insane. I just watched this thing. It's free on YouTube. You can watch it now. After watching this, I was elated. I'm gonna talk some spoiler stuff because there's a scene at the end of this movie that needs to be discussed. So after the rating, I'm gonna talk about that, but you're fine up until the rating. But Never Hike Alone, it's such a small little story. There's one character throughout the whole movie, or throughout most of the movie, Kyle, and he is just a hiker, a backpacker, and he stumbles upon Camp Crystal Lake. He finds all this evidence and he thinks it's really cool. Like, wow, this is something that happened, some 30 years ago. He's not buying into it that, Jason is still around, of course. The place is secluded. So he looks at it as kind of an adventure. He's really kind of like us, like a horror fan. Like, wow, this is really cool that we're standing on the location of where all these mass murders happened, Camp Crystal Lake. But as we all know, Jason is still there at Camp Crystal Lake. And once Jason shows up, then this movie really kicks into high gear. And that part really surprised me because originally I was thinking that this was gonna be, let's save Jason until like the last 10 minutes of the movie, make it sort of a found footage type adventure. But no, Jason shows up, I'd say, pretty early on. That is my one big pro about this. Vincent DiSanti, I believe, the director, actually played Jason in this movie, and he does a fantastic job. As far as I'm concerned, you got your Richard Brooker, you got your Ted White, even Kane Hodder. Those are the best Jasons. Vincent DiSanti really reminded me of Richard Brooker in his portrayal, even down to, I guess, the makeup or the mask under the mask. But this is really the first time in a long time, probably since part 4, that Jason has been terrifying, really. And this is when Friday the 13th works the best. When they don't turn it into a parody of itself, when they don't turn it into a straight up comedy, and they make Jason, scary as hell. A complete force. And there was an aspect of that in the remake, and it just really works in this movie. Another thing I really loved about this one was it's so small scale, it's so low budget, but not in a bad way. It works very well because it's a survival story. This guy Kyle, he is really fighting for his life. It's kind of like that final girl moment at the end of every Friday movie, but it's the whole movie. And there are some nice, tender character moments throughout this, like in the middle of his getaway, there's one point in this movie where he feels like, I'm gonna die, I'm not gonna make this. And so there's a heartfelt moment between him and the video camera talking to his parents. And that's something I haven't seen in a Friday movie before. And like I said, with the survival aspect, I loved that about this, that this feels like a combination, a hybrid movie of Friday the 13th and say 127 Hours. It fits into that mold, and I think that really works with a Friday movie. But the big thing here is the pacing. It never lets up. It's kind of a slow build in the beginning, but once it gets going, it really gets going. And I will go ahead and say that this fits in with the rest of the Friday movies as canon in my mind. Like, if I'm on a Friday run, I'm gonna include Never Hike Alone. That's how good this film is. My only negative about it, and it's really not a negative towards the filmmakers, is that it's not an hour and a half long. It's under an hour. And I think if they could have gotten the funding, because this was a Kickstarter campaign, to make this a full-length feature film, then it would have been perfect. And it would have ranked up there with the best Friday movies. But like I said, I'm not gonna hold that against it. This gets a high purchase worthy. I will definitely be rewatching this. Had a blast with Never Hike Alone, and I wanted to get this review out for you guys. be sure to check this. I'll post a link in the info box so you can watch the movie right here on YouTube for free. And that's just another cool thing. These aren't guys out to make a buck. This is made by fans for the fans. It's awesome. Now let's get into some spoiler talk real quick. That last scene, I'm so glad that the cat wasn't let out of the bag when I was watching this. And of course, the return of Tommy Jarvis, played by the great Tom Matthews from part 6. And he was still playing that character. So that's just another cool thing, that this is canon with the rest of the franchise. And this picks up after the events of part 6. And there's some nice little Easter eggs there too, with the ambulance driver named Axel, fitting right in with that character of Axel from part 4. But how Vincent DiSanti got Tom Matthews to do this, I applaud you, good sir. Tom Matthews is arguably one of the best actors of the whole franchise, or most beloved actors of the whole franchise. He does such a great job with the character of Tommy Jarvis. And even Corey Feldman recently was trying to get a push on returning the character to the franchise. I would actually like to see Tom Matthews play the character if he returned to the franchise. But that was just such a cool moment. I was jumping for joy. Gotta give a quick shout out to Derek Mayu, who linked me to this movie and told me that you have to stay till the end because you are gonna be freaking out. And Derek, you were not wrong. This was so freaking cool. So anyway, guys, be sure to check out this movie. Post below in the comments what you thought of Never Hike Alone. Do you include it in the Friday the 13th universe? Also, in November, I'm going to be having a special Friday the 13th Scream stream with my buddy Cody Leach and CP from Will I Like It Reviews. And we're going to be talking all things Friday, and especially this movie, Never Hike Alone. Also, be sure to become a member of Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day, every day. And on Fridays, we do Free For All Fridays. If you like what I'm doing, hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Drumdums. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a great day, and actually, I screwed that up. It's